Welcome to Deep Thoughts, a podcast designed to take you on an introspective journey into the mindsets and strategies that fuel personal growth. In every episode, we'll explore the intersection of psychology, spirituality, and real-world tactics, guiding you through powerful methods to elevate your health, wealth, relationships, and overall well-being. From deep dives into transformative habits and mindsets to candid discussions about the challenges we face in today's fast-paced world, Deep Thoughts is here to remind you of the untapped potential that lies within. If you're ready to disconnect from the distractions and connect with the tools and insights needed to create lasting change, this show is your sanctuary for self-discovery and empowerment. Tune in, reflect, and take action towards a more vibrant and fulfilling life.
All right, so you know how much we all love taking those personality quizzes,
right? Yeah.
And then we get our results and we're like, can I actually change this about myself? Am I stuck with this?
Right.
Can I actually become more of this or less of that?
Yeah.
So that's what we're diving into today. We've got a whole bunch of articles here from Very Well Mind and UC Davis, all about this idea of whether or not we can actually change our personalities.
It's a question for the ages.
Oh, it really is. And some of these articles highlight this wild study about twins.
Yes.
Identical twins who are separated at birth.
Yeah.
And they often end up with really similar personalities. So is that like nature just totally winning out over nurture?
Right. It really makes you wonder how much is truly in our control. I mean, the twin study really illustrates the power of genetics.
But does that mean we're all just puppets to our DNA? Like, is free will just an illusion when it comes to personality?
Well, not so fast. This is where it gets really interesting. While genetics might set the stage, it's not the whole play. You know what I mean? So the environment that we're exposed to, our upbringing, our experiences, even our jobs, those all play a huge role.
Yeah, it's like that saying, genes load, the gun environment pulls the trigger.
Exactly.
Maybe a little dramatic, but you get the point.
It gets the point across for sure. It's that nature ND nurture dance.
Okay.
So you can have someone who is genetically predisposed to be, super relaxed and go with the flow, but they're in a super chaotic, high-pressure environment, they might become a lot more high-strung.
Right. So it's like that one example from the Very Well Mind article where they talk about how a naturally chill person might seem totally different if they're stuck in a job that they hate because the environment is just not the right fit.
Yeah.
So it can either amplify or mute those inherent tendencies.
Yeah.
So then where does that leave us with this idea of actually changing our personality? Like, can we go from 0 to hero on the extroversion scale overnight?
That's the million-dollar question. And honestly, probably not overnight. It might be tricky to completely overhaul those big core traits. Like if you're a hardcore introvert, you're probably not going to become the life of the party overnight.
Right.
But research suggests we can change those in-between qualities.
In-between qualities. All right, now you're just using fancy terms. Break that down for me.
Okay, so think about the things that you tell yourself. Those deep-seated beliefs about who you are.
Okay.
Like, oh, I'm just not a math person.
Right.
I'm terrible with directions.
Yep.
Those beliefs, your coping mechanisms, how you view success, those are all in-between qualities. And those are actually surprisingly changeable.
So it's less about becoming a completely different person.
Yeah.
And more about fine-tuning who you already are.
Exactly.
I like that.
Yeah.
Fine-tuning the awesome.
And those fine-tunings can have a domino effect on how you actually show up in the world.
Okay.
So for example, let's say you believe that intelligence is a fixed trait.
Okay.
You're either born smart or you're not.
If you really believe that deep down, you're probably not going to put in as much effort to learn new things.
Right. Why bother?
Because you think you're incapable of getting better.
Exactly. But what if you decide, hey, intelligence is not fixed? I can actually get smarter if I put in the work.
That's right.
Then suddenly the possibilities are kind of endless.
Exactly. And that's when you're more likely to embrace challenges.
Yeah.
To put in the work. And then you actually achieve greater things because of that shift in belief.
And it's not just a self-help theory. There's actually research to back this up, right?
Yeah, there was that study mentioned in the Very Well Mind article.
Yeah.
Where they found that just learning that the brain forms new connections throughout life boosted students' academic performance.
Wait, so just knowing that their brains could change actually made them perform better?
Yeah, it's pretty amazing.
Oh, that's wild.
It really speaks volumes about the power of our beliefs. Even at a neurological level, that shift from a fixed mindset to a growth mindset can be transformative.
So we really do kind of create our own reality with our thoughts. Absolutely. It's incredibly empowering when you think about it.
Yeah. It is.
If we can change those limiting beliefs, those in-between qualities we were talking about,
Right.
we can change our lives.
Okay, but let's get practical for a sec. Our listeners probably thinking, okay, that's all super inspiring, but how do I actually do that?
Right.
How do I go from I'm terrible with names to being that person who remembers everyone?
Right. Well, it's not like you can snap your fingers and become a whole new person overnight.
Right.
It's about taking those small, consistent steps. And, like we were talking about earlier, one of the articles mentioned this psychologist who was naturally introverted, but he trained himself to be more extroverted when he needed to be.
Oh, yeah, like he would act more extroverted.
Exactly. And it eventually became second nature to him over time.
Interesting.
It wasn't about being someone he wasn't. It was about expanding his comfort zone and challenging those ingrained beliefs about himself.
Oh, okay, so we can all kind of do that in a way.
Exactly.
So it's not a personality transplant. It's more like building a muscle.
I like that.
The more you use it, the stronger it gets. But what about those like really deep-seated beliefs?
Right.
Like how do we even begin to shift those?
It starts with awareness. Pay attention to that negative self-talk.
Okay.
And when you catch yourself thinking, oh, I'm just not good at this, stop yourself
Interesting.
and reframe it. Ask yourself, is that actually true? Or is that just an old story I'm telling myself?
So it's like hitting the pause button on that automatic negative thought.
Yes.
And choosing something more empowering instead.
Exactly.
Okay, I like that.
So instead of saying, I'm too shy to do that, try saying, I'm choosing to step outside of my comfort zone today.
So it's a subtle shift.
Yeah.
But it's powerful.
It is.
Yeah.
It's about making that shift in perspective.
I love that. Because
Yeah.
it's not about erasing who you are. It's about becoming a better version of yourself.
That's a great way to put it.
And I think that's what makes this whole conversation so exciting.
Right.
It reminds us that we're not stuck. We actually do have the power to change, to grow, to write our own stories.
And that's a really powerful thing.
So we've been talking a lot about like our thoughts and beliefs and those in-between qualities. But what about the world outside of our heads?
Yeah.
Like, does our environment play into all of this too?
Absolutely. I mean, it's not all just in our heads, right?
Yeah.
Our environment plays a huge role in shaping who we are and who we become.
Right, like that saying, you are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with.
Exactly.
Okay, that one's a classic. But it's so true, because if we're constantly surrounded by negativity, it's going to be a lot harder to cultivate like a positive mindset, even if we're working on those inner beliefs.
Right. It's like trying to grow a garden in a desert.
Ooh, I like that.
You might have the best seeds in the world, but without the right environment, they're just not going to thrive.
Okay, so then if you're trying to change some of those in-between qualities, like let's say you want to be a more patient person,
Right.
would surrounding yourself with patient people actually like rub off on you?
Exactly. It's like our environments can either support or sabotage our growth.
Interesting.
So it's so important to be intentional about the spaces we inhabit, the people we surround ourselves with, even the information we consume.
So it's like you're curating a life that supports the person you want to become.
Precisely.
And sometimes just like changing your environment, even in a small way,
Yeah.
can be that thing that sparks some big changes within you.
Yeah, I think so.
So maybe it's time for all of us to kind of take a look around and be like, is this environment actually helping me grow? Does this nurture the qualities I want to cultivate?
That's a great question to ask yourself.
Right.
And if the answer is no, maybe it's time to make a change.
Okay, so what could that look like?
Well, it could mean joining a new club, seeking out a mentor, or even just like decluttering your physical space, even just spending less time with people who kind of drain your energy.
You know what I love about all of this? It gives us so much agency. Like we're not just passive passengers in our own lives. We actually have the power to choose to change, to create a life that we actually want.
Yeah, you're not just at the mercy of your genes or your environment.
Exactly.
You have the power to make choices and changes.
It's not always easy, but it's possible.
Couldn't have said it better myself. It's a journey. And like any good journey, it's filled with challenges and triumphs along the way.
Right. It's not always going to be easy.
But the rewards of self-discovery and personal growth, those make it all worthwhile.
All right. So to sum it all up for our listener today, yes, personality change, IS possible. But it's not about becoming like a completely different person overnight. It's about those in-between qualities. Our beliefs, our habits, our mindsets, and remembering that while genetics might lay the foundation, our environment really is the architect.
That's a great way to put it.
So choose your environments wisely. Surround yourself with people who inspire you. Create a space that fuels your growth. And never underestimate the power of those small, consistent steps. towards becoming the best version of you.
Beautifully said. And remember, every step you take, no matter how small, is a victory.
That's a wrap on this deep dive into personality change. If you want to learn more, we'll have links to all the articles we talked about in the show notes. Until next time, keep those brains curious and those mindsets open to change.
Thank you for tuning in to this episode of the Deep Thoughts Podcast. I hope you found insights and inspiration to take with you on your journey of self-growth. If you enjoyed the show, be sure to hit the subscribe button so you never miss an episode. And don't forget to follow us on social media to stay updated on new releases and exclusive content. See you next time, where we'll continue to help you grow and explore your full potential.